Okay. We do these things in these interviews where we kind of do like a roll call where I'll name off some artists or some people and then try to get like a favorite memory or a story from you about that. Are you cool to do that? Okay. Um, let's start off with, I mean, we talked about him a little bit, but let's start off with Suge. Do you have any other memorable moments that stuck out to you other than some of the stuff we've already discussed?
I'm just gonna grab some off the top of my head. Shout out to my big homie Merc Dog for Def Doe Gang. See, I thanks, cuz. I just can recall when we first started fucking with Suge. The first few times we went up there deep. Cause it'd be like a party scene, kicking it, hanging out. And I remember being in Suge's office, gang of my homies in there, Suge chopping it up with us, telling us what his ideas was for the future and all that. And like my big homie Merc, he like a legend on the streets of the east side of his generation. He well known, well respected. And he a big nigga. He a knockout artist. And he just a big old like man's man. And when we left out the office, and to this day, he always teased me and compliment me if that can be the same thing about the fact that I was in Suge Knight office and I had my feet on his desk. It never crossed my mind. Like I was just sitting there and that nigga had a polished ass, marble ass, expensive fly ass desk. And I think that's how Suge was sitting on his side of the desk. And I don't know, I was just getting comfortable. And I'm not thinking it's a gesture of disrespect or being tacky or posturing. But the way the big homie seen it when we left out that meeting, he was just so proud of me for having my feet up on Suge. They like, you a fool, cuz you had your feet on that nigga desk. And it didn't dawn on me that it was even something to notice, but I don't know. You asked me for something, that's the first thing came to my mind, because that nigga Merc loved the fact I had my feet on Suge desk.
Okay. Um, can we, any stories about Game?
Yeah. I remember when 4 Cent passed, rest in peace to 4 Cent. You'll be surprised to know that nigga called me on the phone crying like a baby. Like, not that that's a negative thing to do toward your masculinity when a close friend has died, just to highlight the level of closeness he and I had once experienced. He called me early that morning, boo-hoo crying, like, man, I need to breathe on you, man. I need to be in your face, man. I can't talk to none of these niggas over here, which is a whole house full of damus. So I lived in almost walking distance if you wanted to really go for a walk, but you could really ride a bicycle easy, 5 minutes driving from where he was at. So I went over there and I just was like, if you can imagine that day, it's all kind of damus on Brazil, and I had an audience with him to like chop it up with him and politic with him on that day. I don't know why that came to my mind. I don't know why you asked me about him, but anyway, that's something.
Okay.
We go on for days about cuz though, but yeah.
Okay. Any memorable stories about Crooked Eye?
Beautiful world. I remember one day standing in the studio at Track Record, Crooked Eye come get in my ear like, I got a word for you. I can't really use it. Beautiful. And I remember I'm like, damn, that's kind of slick. And I kind of just like put it in my back pocket. So a few years later, it became a very, very important word for me, and I appreciate it. Good looking, Crook.
Okay. What about Key to Rock? Any stories?
Neighborhood to the neighborhood. Yeah, I happen to know Big U for quite some years. For as he has rose to fame and popularity, this journey started after a stint in prison, and um, that's the night he came home from prison. I met Big U because I was with Key Rock and Corrupt, but when Big U paroled, one of his sons was having a birthday party at the Chuck E. Cheese on Prairie and I believe Rosecrans, like in Hawthorne. And I can recall being around the row and being around Key Rock and Corrupt for like, if I can recall right, it could have been like almost a year or 6 months. I can remember a countdown every now and then. It usually would be Corrupt, be like 60 days, draws be home, 30 days, draws be home. And then so like the week of, it was like still the countdown was going on. So it was just general conversation. Key Rock like, "Cuz, you gonna go with me when we go up there?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm gonna push, cuz." But we was kicking it on a regular basis, hitting corners at that time. So not knowing what Big U was about to, establish himself as, I was just going with the homies because they homie from 60s is coming home. They was excited on that. I was just going with them to function. So when it finally came time that night to go to Chuck E. Cheese, I happened to be in A-Tray Gangster and my little breezy house. So just off top, when Key Rock called me, I was like in the heart of that shit on 82nd. Like, I'm like, "Hey, cuz, don't even trip, cuz I ain't gonna go, my nigga, cuz I'm over here, whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. I ain't wanna invite him over there to their worst enemies. That nigga was like, "Cuz, what's the address? Cuz, I'm on my way, woo-woo." That nigga all the tattoos on his face, music up loud as a motherfucker, on rims. He came to that motherfucker knocking, boom, boom. Came and got me. We shot up there to the Chuck E. Cheese, fucked around. But yeah, when you say Key Rock, just for the sake of this interview, yeah, I can recall. That's how I met Big U the first night he got out, because Key Rock took me up there.
Nice. Okay. Do you have any memories of Bountry?
Rest in peace, my nigga Country Out, cause it's crazy that from the song Tupac talking about hair on neck bone Bountry too, Big Rock got love, but so the name Bountry is such a big name in your head. It's a worldwide. It's magnified. I felt very honored to be a friend of Bountry. Country Out. Only reason I say Country is because shout out Tibby Rue too. That's my nigga too, Black Jesus. But I would be like talking to Country right here, and then somebody would be like, "Hey, Bountry," one of his homies to talk to him. And he used to always make it his business to be like, "Man, my name Country Spider." And he used to show me he had a tattoo. It was spelled with a C. So he was like, out of respect, he would be slightly embarrassed when people call him Bountry or hard around me. He would always let me know, like, "Man, my name Country Spider," like just trying to make me feel like don't trip that. Because when you started replacing B's with C's back in the day, it was really more of a deliberate thing. Like, it's so common now, but that's my memory of Country that is banged out and is, legendary as gangster status was, and he is Bountry out, but he would always invite me to call him Country. Rest in peace, my nigga. I love you, homie. He was a real one. That nigga was solid. He was solid. I fucked with Country real heavy.
Okay. When he passed, were you able to attend his funeral?
Yeah, I went to his funeral.
Okay. Any stories from that, or not so much?
Nah, it was just hella crowded. I was like a fly in the wall. I could tell you, so I'm gonna let you finish your roll call. Go ahead.
Okay. Any stories about Eastwood?
Other than he whooped that ass with me, I could say this about Eastwood. Eastwood is most of I've known him since he was like a teenager, and he's always been like affiliated with heavy street niggas, but he's always also been a non-affiliated himself. And it got a time in my career when I was on G Unit and he was fucking with Doja in the Whack Wall Street movement real heavy, that we got to exchanging a few diss lines and records. And one of the diss records, one of the lines I said toward him was, remember I told you I like to utilize facts. I said the East Side Riders don't fuck with Eastwood. And I had to eat my words because I remember years later, Cuz got so saturated in my set in a different section. I was walking in the functions like hood days, and Cuz was in there with the homies, like with him. I could just, we was friendly at the point at the time, but it was just like, I had to eat my own words. Yeah, the East Side Riders do fuck with Eastwood. Oh, blah, 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 blah. East the Beast, what up, my nigga? Oh, Goddard, though. Yeah. Me and Eastwood been through a lot, though.